Hi, my name is Eli Cusick, and this is my Connect 4 memory game web application in a very raw state right now. Hopefully, I'll be able to clean things up a good bit in the next week or two, but wanted to go ahead and get something up. So, give a little tour around till I get a sign up page. I'm just creating a default user, so using Muppets, which is more fun. The game itself is Connect 4 game. So here's decks of flashcards. My wife is a teacher. She teaches English as a second language. So that's kind of what inspired me to do something that's kind of a learning game and really interactive. Her kids love playing Connect 4. So what I did is basically I set this up to where there are these cards on the left. They correspond to the cards on the right. They've been randomized so that they don't match up right or match up across. So just you have to match which one you want, and then this number corresponds to the bottom here. So say if you want to do 4 for strategy, you have to match number 4 with boom, the right one. And then there's a computer player. Right now it's just randomized. No strategy to the computer player yet. So if I want to do 5, Colts. And then I set up this timer here so that person can challenge themselves a little bit. So Pittsburgh Steelers. And the computer player is smart today. 49ers. Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And then Tennessee Titans. So I won. And then here's a scores page. So it keeps track of different outcomes if you won, lost, or draw. And then it's listed for the user. Again, right now I just have a default user. But it would theoretically pull from whichever user was playing the game. They could see all their logs. So that's how the basics of the game work. So now I'll just take you back to see the code a little bit. So here's my app components. I use browser router from React in order to create my routes up here. So these correspond to routes. The home page here, game page, will have the game route, scores page, scores route. So got that. There's my nav bar. That holds all of my links. This is where I've got Redux hooked up. One of the aspects of this project was they wanted you to use Redux to manage some global state. Currently where the application's at doesn't need it too much. It's helpful to track the user though. So here I've got the provider wrapping around the app, pulling from the store. Here's my combined reducer. So these are the 3 things that we're tracking: user, decks, and game logs. And then we can see that over here. So here's, and for this, when I start the application, so it automatically pulls in the user because I have a default user, and then it automatically pulls in the decks. And this just contains the ID, title, and who created it. So just there we go. You see just some really basic information. It's not the cards themselves. Those will be pulled once we select which deck we want. And then the game manages that state. Don't use global state for that. So yeah, that's Reducer. So homepage, when you initially come on, component does mount. Basically, it checks to make sure that the decks haven't already been pulled yet. If they haven't, go ahead and fetch the decks. So that's the action that it calls. Fetch decks right here, which is going to go to my Rails API. And that's going to, let me see, that's actually the decks controller. It's going to pull all the decks. And then that's going to dispatch to the reducer. So here's my decks reducer, checks for load decks, create a copy of it. So we're not using state itself, we're making a copy of that. And then that will go back to my combined reducers, which then is loaded into state, global state, and then map state to props. And right here is where we're going to get that. And so as you can see, game logs hasn't been called yet. That doesn't happen until we actually go to the scores page, and then it's going to fetch the game logs, and it's going to do that same pattern where it calls the action. Action pulls from the API, then goes to the reducer, and then is loaded into global state, and then we map the state to the props in that component. So there is my project with React and Redux, and yeah, hopefully I'll be adding to this, make it look way better. But thanks for tuning in.